Impulse is when you have a very powerful and sharp movement of selling or buying. Usually this is a very large and strong institutional body, another tool that helps us understand where is our supply and demand are. It is usually a large massive candle that ends in a large body without many wicks. It usually causes choke or bust and can often cause an imbalance. We can observe this along with the other rules, increasing our probability that we are in the right direction of the market. The market doesn't always look the same, and the candles can be a little bit different and confusing. I know that with a lot of practice and the more you'll be on charts, you will know how to recognize them in the best way. The more you are on charts and work with the different time frames, the more accurately you will know how to identify the candles. I marked some example here to show you. Well, in this example, we have a very interesting bullish candle. As you can see, this candle has a very large wicks. This shows us a little war between the sellers and buyers. And here, as you can see in this candle, there is a very sharp impulse. So you can see it accordingly to how this candle started with very sharp movement to the downside. It made a change of character. Of course, this massive candle shows us this impulse to the upside. This sharp bullish movement broke the structure, which is called change of character. You can see that it has a very small wicks here. This indicates a very strong power that buyers have here. Here we have a little bullish movement, which also break and is considered to be an impulse candle. The same thing happened here too. There was a very strong impulse to the downside. It caused a break of structure. And even here, there was a very small wicks and it shows strength. What we have here is an example that may not be so obvious at first, but with good practice, you will learn how to recognize them very clearly. Here we have also a change of character. This is a very big candle, and it also have very big wicks. This shows us a war between the buyers and seller once more. It's something that actually never ends. It happens all the time and everywhere on charts. This is actually what moves this market. The same thing happened here, caused a break of structure. And this is also an example of buyer's impulse candle, caused a break of structure. I have here the example I already showed you before. You can see here the impulse candle, which is very strong. The sellers here are clearly getting into action. Candle is very large and almost without wicks at all. This impulse causes the break of structure. Imbalance refers to occurrence in unequal supply and demand, which affects its price created from an impulse movement. Economic event, political situation, and investor statement can cause this imbalance. Imbalances can be temporary or permanent and are caused by a certain economic or political news releases. The imbalance can help us understand where the market will likely go and identify where they will fill the gap. Several concepts such as gap or inefficiency can also called imbalance. In this example, there is a gap between the candles. There are 3 candles, and those next to it, before it, and after it do not meet. This is an example of imbalance. They will usually return to fill in this gap, not always. In this example, there is no gap between the candles, which they should complete, so it is not an imbalance. As soon as the first candle and the third one touch each other, it means that there is no gap between them and that the institutions are already completed other transactions and they are moving on. I wanted to show an example of imbalance from a trade that I took about 3 days ago. It was from November 16th, so as you know, I start my day at 9 a.m. I checked the pairs and indices that I trade on, and I saw the bullish uptrend got broken on NAS 100. So this is our supply. And as you can see, the impulse candle that caused the break also caused the imbalance. I mark it so that you will see that he creates this gap, which he also completes later. It's suggesting us that our supply is valid. Of course, he completed all the imbalance, and now he's collecting more orders from the retails. As you remember, we are waiting for it to reach its half of the supply. And now we will move to a smaller time frame and you will see the same process completed the imbalance. I'll delete it so you will see it more clearly. I mark the supply. Do you see the imbalance created here? Of course, he completed it. And I enter the trade just as he touched the F of the POI. My stop loss is 3. And the take profit I put all the way down. The trade was about 15 hours. Very nice. And that's it. This is the example I wanted to show you of the imbalance and how it is a very important tool in our puzzle. By the way, this is one of our rules. I have another example that I wanted to show you. This is a trade that I literally missed by 1 pips. I know it's the most annoying thing in the whole world, but there's nothing to do, so it's part of the game. So as you can see, this is our break with impulse. We will mark here the demand. Now look how much imbalance have been created here. We have 2 very large gaps here. This suggests us that they will return to this area to complete their transactions. As you can see, they really completed all the gaps, and now that he's touched the half of the demand, we are moving to a smaller time frame. Even here, as you can see, there is a gap. I remember that I marked this candle because it has a lot of wicks, and it shows that the buyers and sellers have a lot of war between them, and they have a lot of orders there. So I mark this candle is our demand, and that's it. I placed my trade at this level, and I put my stop loss at 3. You know, I think 3 is my lucky number in this course. I put a take profit all the way up until the big break, and that's it. I mean, it was so annoying to miss a trade by 1 pip, but you know, it might happen. It's part of the game.